greatest team in Canada, woefully unprepared.
Curling now enters the Sports Weekend spotlight.
Joanne, are you staying awake? The bold and the beautiful.
What is going on there?
What is Joanne wearing? I got to get a little closer to that. I love it. Is that
I had a rough day, you guys.
Okay, I love that.
I woke
Where
up
did you buy
at
those?
noon, so I thought, okay, I'll pop some melatonin and we'll just go straight back to bed, no problem. We don't go back on until 1 in the morning, and I could not fall back asleep. So, got these eye masks that have coffee in them or something, and I got to get it from every angle at this point, I think.
Yeah, I used to do hits with Jeff Merrick, and he used to call them his Louis Vuitton bags. So that's what you want to protect your girlfriend against those.
My consumer review is not good. These do not stay on if I move my face. So.
I love it.
Wow.
Okay, that made me laugh. Good morning. Behind the scenes with Joanne Courtney. Oh, Bruce, what are you thinking this morning, bright and early?
Well, Colleen, I wanted to ask you a question. So last night when Holman settled into the hack for her final shot, I was absolutely enraptured by the silence. I've never heard a curling rink or an arena that quiet. And I will never forget, as long as I live, the sound John Morris made from the very depths of his gut when that rock stood. And he knew. He didn't need the measurement. He's curled 10,000 stones in his life. He knew. But I'll just never forget that sound. It was that wail. It was an absolute guttural wail from him. It was. And, you said a lot of great stuff off the top there. One thing I'll say is that we did the 2 games this morning, or saw the 2 games this morning. And all of the teams that are moving on to the medal games now, they reach this almost Zen-like state, where the communication is so calm. They're not yelling at each other. The rock's coming down the ice, and it's just so smooth and easy. And today, even Bruce Mowat overswept a really, really key stone, and it was still so calm. And I don't think Canada, for all of its effort, ever reached that Zen-like state where it came easily. And perhaps that's to the point you pointed out earlier, where they just found out a month ago. So anyway, the big takeaways from me, it's a game. I don't think if you're a curling fan and you watch that, you'll never, ever, ever forget it. And I'll never forget that sound John Morris made. It's I'll never forget it.
Wow. From the depths of his soul. And to speak to that point of Norway, talking to Kristen after the game, who made a sensational draw for the win, she said, well, I'm on autopilot with those draws. And he knows exactly how to sweep those draws. And there is a calmness in a huge moment in their curling life.
Well, when she had a chance to make that, she was like Usain Bolt. She was down to the other, just flying down. She wanted that draw. That's what she wanted. They planned for it, and she wanted to be there in that spot at that time. So it's going to be a really, really good final. It's the story of the kids, 22 and 26 years old, against the slightly older married couple with the history from 4 years ago. So gold medal game is going to be really good.
Awesome. My thoughts, Colleen, let us have it right off the top.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, my takeaway from it is, after watching, again, Rachel and John are the most talented athletes in the country. I don't think anyone would dispute that. What was missing was the calmness, the way, not what the players were saying, the way they were saying it to each other. There was no, how often do we hear hard, whoa, straight, like from our sweepers and from Rachel and John, there was always a sense of a little bit of panic to get by guards. And there was none of that from Italy. There was none of that from Norway. There was none of that from Great Britain. How's the weight? It's 8 feet faster here. It's 4 feet slower here. It's 2 feet quicker here. None of that from anybody. That was my takeaway. So all of these teams, let's play the draw. Like you said, Skazlian could not wait to throw that draw out of the button because she's dialed in on draw weight. Stefania Constantini, 22 years old, the freeze she made against, that measure, like she absolutely locked it on perfect. So there's just this sense of calm from the teams that I'm seeing against our Canadian reps that we were missing. And I think a lot of it has to do with exactly what you said, Colleen, the lack of prep time. Even had they won the trials in December, after Christmas, this is after New Year's, actually would have been about 6 weeks. Can you make up all for 4 years of work that Norway put in? That's the question. So I think Curling Canada, the first thing, they have to change the date of both trials. I mean, we're not even going to get into men's and women's yet, but they need to make it where the teams have time to prepare so that when they go there, they're ready. You know you're going to be ready. And even for John and I think in Pyeongchang, when John and Caitlin were there, like I said, most of the top countries weren't sending their best curlers. So they were kind of their own worst enemy in that case, where all of a sudden, oh, Oscar Eriksson's playing for Sweden. Oh, all of a sudden we've got all 4 men in the playoffs and Jennifer Dodds are playing both. So how about that there's the other argument. So what's wrong with playing both? You know, all these countries are sending their very best players. So we're going to have 3 men and potentially Jen Dodds who have a chance to win 2 Olympic medals here in Beijing. That's another conversation again, but the biggest thing is the prep that these other countries had that we did not, as when I say the Royal we, Team Canada didn't have.
Joanne, you wanted to talk today about your relationship with your skipper and that heartbreaking scene that played out, and one of your own losses in mixed doubles, and Colleen, of course, was there.
Yeah, you know what they didn't include in my orientation to the booth is how do you call a do or die game for your teammate and friend of 8 years? That was hard. And it was just such a gut-wrenching way to have that game go. There we are. That's my year 1. Got that thick headband. I phased that out when I turned 30. Look at us, spring chickens. I think we look pretty good 8 years later. You know, it was just, you could see it, and Mike spoke to that, the intensity, just that they were gripping it a little tight, and they were trying so hard and just leaving all of it out there. And you know, as an athlete in that moment, you can't think about what's on the line. You can't think about the pressure. You can't think about your family or the fans or the outcome. They're putting everything into every shot. You could hear John sweeping, just the sounds coming out of him. He was trying so hard. And the moment that they knew that rock had gone an 1/8 of an inch too far, you just know that everything comes crashing down on you. And it is just like the most, like, it's an emotional assault, because you go into, honestly, it's like a shock state. And we went through that in Pyeongchang in 2018 when we lost to Great Britain in our second last round robin game. You know, you're in it. You're never going to give up. You're never going to quit. Never say die. But the second that game is over and you shake hands, it's just, it's unlike anything else. You go into this state of just numbness, and your whole body reacts. Like the pit in my stomach is still there today for them. And I wasn't on the ice. So, I mean, we saw that in your interview, Colleen. It just, you could see that despair with them. And I just feel so much for both. And I think it just speaks to the fact that kindness and empathy for Canadian curling fans is so important right now, to really just send out love and support. They'll be able to criticize their performance. Curling Canada will look at the process. We will have all of those stones will get turned, but for right now, it's a matter for them surviving and putting one foot in front of the other, and just kind of getting through this emotional part, and hopefully getting home soon to their families. I mean, they put everything on hold for us. They dropped everything, did not want to get a COVID positive test. They've isolated, they've been living and breathing all of this. And now all of a sudden it's all done. And that letdown is just going to be crazy for them. So to that note, I mean, I've experienced that in mixed doubles myself, obviously not on the big stage like the Olympics, but out of nowhere, I ended up in a world championship final with Reed Carruthers in 2017. And Mike and Bruce so kindly like to bring that up on air. Had great control in that game. We were up 3 coming home without the hammer. And after the second time they brought that up, I sent them a photo of Colleen and I from after that game, because as we all know, Canada has not won a gold medal in the world mixed doubles. We had a great opportunity that game. There we are. And I just, after that game, again, that sense of just that crushing defeat. And I didn't know Colleen very well at the time. And we maybe said hello at the opening banquet, but she came over to me and she said, I don't remember what she said. I was trying to take it in, but that act of just empathy and love, it means so much in those moments. And if you see in the picture, there's Colleen with this look on her face of true just emotion, and you kind of catch a funny look from Jeff Stout, and he's looking over like, oh, what's going on here? But I mean, there's a lesson to fans out there, like, you want to be Colleen Jones in this picture, you don't want to be Jeff Stoughton, okay? It's a lot moving forward. Like, our curlers are going to be fine. I mean, and Jeff was super supportive. It's just funny how you catch a little side eye there. But Curling Bones doing the right thing. Let's try not to be Jeff Stoughton here. Let's support our athletes. I'm so proud of them. And I hope that they can get home to their families quickly and can start kind of that recovery process, because it's a trauma. And the Olympics are amazing, and you want to remember the good stuff, but they just grinded it out the whole week. And I mean, it was great to watch and very amazing curling. And we've got great curling coming up too. So I'm going to get ready to pivot here, and I'm going to get that, gut feeling.
Yeah. Actually, you look great.
And I'm ready for tonight, you guys.
I thought it was like the football players wear the dark stuff under their eyes, just getting ready for a big match under the light.
Mike, I've got a gold one. I believe it's more brightening. This one's more like to wake up, and then there's a black one, charcoal, more of a detox. So I'll show you the options.
Joanne, how important is it that the trials get moved so that a Team Canada can prep? Because even for you and Reed that year, you were kind of won the Canadian at the Worlds, a new team, relatively inexperienced. So
I drove home from that final from Saskatoon. The next day I flew to Toronto to play in the Players' Championship. From there we flew to Calgary, had 2-day training camp, and then went to the World Championship. Had to come in the top 8 to qualify Canada for the Olympics. Like, it's disrespectful to the other teams there to assume you can just show up and perform. And what we're seeing is just an insanely high quality of play in mixed doubles. I talk about it on air all the time. It's such a hard discipline, and these guys are making it look easy out there. And to Mike's comment, the calmness, they've played in so many games. They're aware of what they have to do to win and how they manage their shots. And I couldn't believe it. Bruce Mount, Vicky Dodds. Jen Dodds. I'm still waking up here. Like, Jen with a miss on her first, okay, whoops. And then Jen with another misplaced on her last. Bruce kind of overswept and the reaction was actually just quick. Okay, well, whoops. And I think that just speaks a little bit to the fact that mixed doubles is tough, and sometimes it's not going to go your way. And they kind of just respect that about it. And you're seeing that from all the teams in the competition.
Yeah, I just ran out to get these important pieces of paper because it's the stats from yesterday's semifinals game. And they're so high. And we all know how hard it is to score high in mixed doubles. To be the only one that wasn't was down was Team Sweden, who was pounded by Italy. And Italy, what I love about listening to their call in the allez, like it's like a sing-songy opera. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's just like not panicked and not screechy, and they're calm. It's a lovely story. And listen, you guys, I was almost crying for Italy after they won, because this, let's not forget, is their first medal ever in curling at the Olympic Games. When they came off, and so now they've got gold or silver for them. So this is huge. It's huge for both countries. It's especially big for Italy. And I'm so proud of them, because I know, Mike and Joanne, you probably curled there. It's a small curling country, and they support and love each other. But they got off and went in front of this big screen downstairs before you go into the mix zone, which is where I run downstairs always late to do those interviews. Their families were on those screens, and you look at the shot, and the families are crying, and it's like an Earl Morris party, but in Italian, and they're all speaking Italian. And then Amos and Stefania are both crying after they've been this composure of, every time they come out, they're like, this is no big deal. Here we are. We're just here to play. This is a team that has not got too high and never get too low. Well, they're perfect. How could you ever get too low?
Right.
They don't know low yet.
We got to keep it going, guys, because we're talking to the three consecutive Scottish champ coming up. She just landed in Winnipeg, so we're going to catch Carrie Einarson. But
have a great call.
Appreciate your thoughts. You've got the bronze at 1 a.m., gold at 7. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right.
Yeah. And Joanne, I'll take some of those moisture pads there, the eye gels.
Probably just have to quarantine them for 14 days, and I can send them to you, Colleen, okay?
They're going cheap.
Mike and I are wondering, do you have anything that makes your head look smaller? Can you find something for Mike and I?
You two look fabulous. That's because you two have all the brain power.